Hey there, guys. It's Mia here. I am so excited. I'm excited about this topic today. I'm going to teach very simply over the next couple of minutes. How do you choose the right coach, mentor, strategic advisor for yourself in this season? I've got 10 simple points that I'm going to share with you, and I know that it's going to support you with your decision making, making a powerful choice for yourself. The truth is having advisement, strategic advisement, and knowing how to choose the right person that is your person can really change your life. My story is I got started in my company over 20 plus years ago, and the very first thing I did was hire mentors and coaches that were living the way that I wanted to live. They were doing the work that I wanted to do differently, but it was similar enough that the example really supported my success. Fast forward, I've had the opportunity to work from the comfort of my home for over 20 plus years, working one to many, mostly with my clients, being able to support thousands of people who have used my systems, and having coached hundreds of individuals personally. And if you had asked me 20 years ago what my vision of what I would be doing would look like 20 years later, is exactly the life that I am living. And I say this to you because choosing the right mentors, coaches, teachers, trainers in your life, strategic advisors, can really put you on the right path if you know what to ask for, what to choose for, or how to make a powerful choice. And then what I found over the years is that a lot of times people kind of accidentally bump into their mentors. And I'm going to show you how to be a lot more strategic with that. So let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to be talking about how to choose the right mentor, coach, or strategic advisor for yourself. I've had tons of them. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years in myself. And as a result of that, I built a business around my life. And I have had the ability to work from the comfort of my home. I've sold multi-millions of dollars of coaching. I've helped my clients equally sell multi-millions of dollars in coaching, building their businesses from scratch. But more importantly, with models that really were in alignment with where they wanted to go. So let's jump right in. The first thing that I know is really important, and a lot of times people don't think about as much, is the importance of choosing someone who only speaks to the version of you that you are becoming. So this is very important. I think it's one of the most important things that a lot of us miss. And I'll tell you why we miss it. Because most often when a lot of people, the majority of people, choose a coach or mentor, you might see someone online, you might be at a live event, and you start having this emotional feeling around what you're seeing. Okay. But what I have found over the years, most of my clients have invested in me in high ticket services, is that you want someone that actually can see you, that knows you. And that's one of the things that I'm very proud of in working with the women that I've worked with. I know them. And in knowing them, knowing the kind of women that they are, what they value in terms of their family or how they want to live, understanding why time rich business is really important to them, that I'm able to speak to and call out for them uh, around their fears, around their doubts, around their insecurities, around their limiting beliefs about themselves. Choosing a mentor, coach, strategic advisor, I think, is having someone that is not just teaching you the step by step. It is literally having someone see you, and that's only talking to the version of you that you want to become. And to me, that's one of the things that I always start with my clients is, how are we going to build this business around the life that you want and that you desire? And if you've never thought about this in your coach selection process, this is one of the most important questions I think ever, is making sure that you choose someone who's only speaking to that next level you. All right. And why am I saying that? Because a lot of times we're working with people and there's no level of intimacy. You're not seeing, no one really knows what it is that you want to do, or what are the things that could trigger you or enhance you, or call you out to your higher purpose. And I've seen it over and over again. Every single woman that I have worked with in a group program, or whether she's working with me via private consulting, I know them. I've spent the last couple of, well, about last 6 weeks, calling past clients who I've worked with over the last 20 years. And most of them that I've called have been between year 5 and 20 years, right? Oh, and I call them to find out, where are you at? And I can remember for each of them, right, who they are as individuals, what their vulnerabilities were, what their goals are. And I'm able to talk to them specifically about her. And have they maintained that? Have they kept their promises to themselves? I think that it's very important to work with people who see you, who know you. You're not just a number or in a class or in a course, particularly when you're investing at a high ticket level. Obviously, if you're one of those individuals that you want to build a 6-figure plus business and you're investing $97 to figure out to do that, this is not what we're talking about. But if you're this person, you've invested tons of money in your education already, your certifications, your graduate degrees, you have lots and loads of experience already in what you do, and you have the ability to create results for others, it's very important that you find alignment. You want to have a mentor or coach that sees the uniqueness, that sees the greatness inside of you, and that's able to call you out to your elevation. Are we clear? So that's really important. And I think it's something that's overlooked, because a lot of times when people do choose the coaches and the mentors, they're at a public event, maybe online or in a speaking event, and they hear something and they're motivated by what the person is saying, but you don't necessarily even know whether or not that person has capacity for you. All right, number 2. I think the other thing that's really important is choosing someone who lives the life that you desire to live. Facts. Okay. So my mantra was, when I got started in business, if you're not free, you can't teach me. So every single mentor, and I've had tons of them that have ever coached me, mentored me, been my strategic advisor, they all have been full-time entrepreneurs, and they all have worked from the comfort of their home or anywhere in the world that they chose to. For me, I didn't want someone that was a part-time entrepreneur teaching me how to be free. I didn't want someone that was working a full-time job teaching me how to be a full-time entrepreneur. I wanted to work with individuals who had models who were already living that way. And how did I know they were living that way? I knew they were living that way, for one, because, obviously in the online culture, I could see that they were at home when they were coaching me during the day. I could also see from their models, from their messaging, what they were teaching me or what they would teach me around that. Here's the thing. A lot of times we get so caught up in the hype. And I'll give an example. I remember I was at a speaking event a long time ago, maybe over 10 years ago, and probably 15 years ago. And this speaker who was so dynamic and incredible, and she was telling everyone, that 365 days in a year, she was telling everyone how she's living her dream, which is so true, and that she was on the road the previous year over 302 days living her dream. And I was like, okay, wait, well, first of all, I am happy that that's your dream, but my dream is to build a business that allows me to see my family and be with them. And so we're not congruent. I'm giving you that example because a lot of times people in that audience, they were all cheering and like, yes, you're living your dream. And, but I was like 302 days out of 365 days. That isn't someone that I want to learn from, because I want to learn from people who know how to build their business around their life, people who are spending time and dinner with their family, people who are, women who are picking their kids up from school and or a part of their kids' activities, because that's what I wanted. So make sure you're choosing people who are living in a way that's congruent with your values. And that is one of the things that's really true. Here's a tip for you. For example, if I were in my 30s currently and I had young children, one of the things that I would look for in a coach, a mentor, strategic advisor, I would look for that person who was 20 years or more out from where I am, and that already has kids that are in college that have done successfully. Why? Because if they built a time-rich business, they've been able to show up for their kids and for themselves. I know that that's the reason I'm building my business. That would be aligned for me. If I were in corporate currently and I wanted to build an incredible consulting business, I would choose a mentor or coach who already had a corporate background, because they could relate to me, my fears, my insecurities, my limitations, based on how I've been trained in the workplace. They would understand how to leverage my skills in a completely different way. There's magic in being able to find that alignment, and yet sometimes, and I hear this when people come to me and they've chosen not powerfully for themselves, they've not asked this question, they've just chosen someone because of the glitz or the glams or at an event, and they didn't choose someone that was truly congruent for them or in alignment with them. That value piece is really important. Anyone that knows me knows that I built my business for me, first of all, and for my freedom. And I knew if I could get myself free, I could be the kind of woman that I wanted to be for my family. And that was really important to me. And it was the basis of how I chose everything, every model, who I would coach, and what I would do, and how I would do what I do. That was very important. Number three, the third thing, are you getting value? Are you getting value? The third thing that is really important when you're choosing the right coach or mentor or strategic advisor is, for me, it was always choosing someone whose models represented ease and grace. And the ease and grace I wanted to experience in my life. So let me break this down. So a lot of times, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, when there was this coach who, was talking about being on the road 302 days out of the 365 days in a year. For me, that didn't represent ease and grace for me. All right. And so you got to know for yourself, when you're choosing your strategic advisor and your mentor and your coach, like, their models or the way they're living are exactly what they're going to teach you. And so I have always really been all about that. Every mentor I've ever worked with, I've been really interested in how are they building a business that has given them back their time, building a life that's time rich, building their business around their life, their values. For me to have success in my business and never be able to experience my family, that would, for me, have been incongruent. So I needed models in my life that would allow me to use leverage, for example, so that I could show up in the ways that I wanted to. Today, what we're talking about is how to choose the right coach, mentor, strategic advisor for yourself in this season. And there are many things that people don't think about when they're choosing who they're going to work with, that I know that this live is really going to support you with. You want to choose someone whose models are ease and grace, and it's the ease and grace you want to experience in your life. Very important. And I think it's something that's really overlooked. I hear it when I'm doing breakthrough sessions with prospective clients. And sometimes they come to me and they have this understanding around, like, they think the way to get clients is hustle and grind, or what they're going to have to do is going to be something that's really incongruent with who they are. You want to make sure that you're working with someone that their models, like, you're like, I like her. I like what this person is doing. I like what this person is about. And I like the way they are living. And that works for me. Those models work for me. And those are the models that you are seeing. All right. You want to choose someone also, number 4, who is confident in their ability to create results, but not ego driven. And I'm going to explain the difference, because I'm a very confident person. Okay. And I attract very confident women. They have an ability to create results, but I'm not really very ego driven. And what I have found over the years, or heard even from other clients, is when you're working with someone who is ego driven, then your results are about them and they're not about you. You want to work with someone who is confident in their ability. They know what they know that they know. So for me, my mastery is working with high achieving women who they have a soft skill or a hard skill that they want to package into a product, like coaching, consulting, or licensing, or training, or even speaking. And they want to do it in a way that's time rich, right? And they want models that allow them to show up for their life. That's why they come to me. Those individuals are my ideal. And when I work with those individuals, I'm able to help them go from not making any money, right? Like, usually they start off, then they're they haven't made any money, to showing them a framework that is my proprietary system on how to sell what they do for high ticket. The average sale in my community is about $15,000 per client. But it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars too, depending on if it's a consulting contract and things like that. But the reality is that that's my mastery, right? So you want to choose someone that, if it's their mastery, there's going to always be evidence that exists. What does that look like? So that you know what to look for. You're looking for testimonials, and ideally, if somebody's mastered something, it's going to be more than 10 testimonials. They're not going to be superficial. They're going to be very detailed, and they're going to be heartfelt, because if you change someone's life, which mastery does, then those individuals are typically going to speak to how that experience of working with that coach, mentor, strategic advisor was more than something superficial. Does that make sense? And you want to also make sure that there is a heart connection. So all of the women that I've had the opportunity to work with, I think that if you look at any of my testimonials, like miaredrigues.com, one of the things you will see as a common denominator, they talk about me as a person and how I care about them as a human. I'm not just collecting individuals for my ego. I really want to see women win. I want women to understand that a man is not a plan and your job is not a plan. That if you use your talents and your skills for you, and we package it, you can literally change the life of every single person that you love and you touch. If there's a crisis in your life, the reality is you can show up in a completely different way when you have capacity. You have a business that can be there for you. And I'm a witness to that. So the thing is, I'm interested in the results of my clients. I have a lot of clients who are taking care of their aging parents. I have clients who are also taking care of their kids, or maybe a spouse that's ill. And the reality is that knowing that their why they need to do what they do, I love to support them with being able to create results. Ego driven means that I don't really care about your results, but I do. That person wouldn't care about your results. They care more about their own vanity matrix, right? And that you'll be able to tell those kind of testimonials because they're more superficial, right? Or the individual that you're thinking about working with is the individual you're thinking about working with, they don't really care about you and your goals and your why. And that to me is, it's just how I like to mentor and coach. If I'm choosing someone to work with me, I want them to understand that the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is one of the most important reasons ever. And it's not something that we're going to not have a conversation about or around. Are we clear? All right. Today, we're talking about how to choose the right coach, mentor, or strategic advisor. And I'm just sharing with you from my heart, my advice on what I do to choose powerfully for myself. I've covered already 5 points, and I've got 5 more. I hope you're getting tremendous value. You're also going to choose someone, number 6, who will shift your personal investment story, because you attract at the level of your investments. And that is key. All right. So let me break this down. This is going to step on someone's toes for sure, but it's fact. All right. So I work with smart, sharp women who are fully capable of taking their skills and packaging them and selling what they do for, $5,000 or more. Okay. And the reality is that many of these women, when they come to me, they've already tried to make investments that were lower investment stories than what I require my clients to start at. They may have started at something at $97 or $297 or $700, and they were looking to hit 6 figures or more in their business, starting with a $97, $297, $777 solution. And I say this to you respectfully, but the reality is that you want to work with someone that gets you to invest at a level that you can't walk away from. Number 1, that is modeling for you through your investments that you can never walk a client through a place you're not willing to go. Okay. So imagine that you want to be a consultant or a coach. Step into it. Imagine this for yourself. You're already a successful coach or consultant. And as a successful coach or consultant, you're not looking to sell what you do to corporations or to individuals for $97. Therefore, why would you start by investing in that? Number 1, you're out of alignment because that's not even what you're selling. Are we clear? And two, it's a waste of your time and your talent. One of the things that I do require my clients to do is to invest in a full solution the first time. And so the women that I work with, they come ready. They have the results. They recognize time is an asset because it is. They're not looking to waste time to do a challenge over a couple of days or a couple of weeks. They're not looking for free master trainings that are only going to be an upsell anyway. And they waste a whole week or a month of their life because they were trying to save a buck. The reality is that you are the mirror to the people that you want to work with. And the way that you show up the first time is the level of language that you'll be communicating to the people that you work with. And the reason I hold that standard is because I never expected to build a business and sell things for multi-millions of dollars collectively in my coaching over the years, or help clients sell multi-millions of dollars in their coaching with a $97 solution. Not one time. And I don't teach it. I don't do it because I know it's not real. And yet we get so caught in the hype of it, especially today. I know because online, that's all you're seeing. But I've held true to who I am and my ideal clients. This is how they behave. And if this is what you're looking for in your business, listen up. The way my ideal clients show up on these breakthrough calls is they choose me because of my track record. They choose me because I'm proven, because I have a history of results, because they are valued to me. They're the life they want to live. They show up, most of them, credit cards in hand, wanting to give me money before I even send them a contract. Those are the kind of women that I love to work with, because what I am teaching them is, one, you only invest in a full solution in yourself. We're not time is an asset. The 30 days you spend doing something that is a waste of time, you could take that same time and be building a business that is 30 days from later that's on the market, that you're selling for $5,000, $10,000 or more per package. Are we clear? And the idea of being investment ready energetically means that you can only teach that what you do. So when you're that person and you're starting this investment cycle in your mind, and $97 and $297 and all of this, you're going to teach that to your clients. That means that people aren't going to be coming to you either for a full solution. All right. And I believe the reason that the business has done so well over the years is because my clients have come to me for a full solution. And that's what they expect of me. And that's what they get from me. Are we clear? All right. Number 7, you want to choose someone, models who you respect, and let go of the shiny. Now, look, shiny is beautiful. Like, I love shiny things too. Like my china, my teapots. I love shiny things. Okay. But the reality is that when we're talking about running a business, it's the models. The money is always in the model. It is. Okay. And most women of color have never learned how to build a business based on leverage, because we've been told you got to be twice as good. You got to work twice as hard. And in many cases, it's true. It's just not sustainable to do it for the rest of your life, right? And it's the reason why so many high achieving women in this season are burnt out. Their nervous system is all the way jacked up. You know what I mean? They have been carrying more than their load. And that may mean that carrying more than their load in their relationships, meaning friendships, in their partnerships, right, in their work, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. A lot of the women that I've had the opportunity to speak with, they have been both over-giving and over-delivering. Facts. And they haven't experienced reciprocity in their life and their world. Y'all know I'm breaking this all the way down. And I'm just telling you, I understand that high achieving woman. And I understand that she has done everything for every other person. And that one of the things that's really important when you're choosing a mentor is that mentor is able to model for you, right, how to be kind to yourself. Does that make sense? It is not just about building a business that makes money, right? You're building a business around your lifestyle. And it's understanding that the model of what you put together is what you're living with. You want to build a business you're not trying to run away from in 10 years because, and I see this all the time, somebody's built a business and it suffocates them because of the way they work. I'll give an example. I work with a lot of therapists. A lot of times they only earn money, $150, $325 an hour by speaking with their clients one-to-one. So if they want to increase their income, they have to increase their hours. And what they find is, man, I can make a lot of money, but if I double what I'm doing right now, I'm going to be at 80 hours a week. I'm not going to have a quality of life. So one of the things that's really important to them and you is having models, the right model for you, understanding for you where you are in this season of your life as a high achieving woman. How do we undo, you know, uh, remodel what it is that you've done, look, literally in your life? How do we get you to experience the values that you aren't living out every single day because your schedule, the way you structured your business is in direct conflict with how you want to live? And I'm just breaking it down because it's what I see, it's what I do, and it's what I hold a place for the women that I've had the greatest privilege to serve over the last 20 years. And if you haven't had anyone to have this conversation with you around your models and your money, it's something that when you're choosing a mentor and a coach, it is one of the most crucial, to me, and essential conversations. Before I even want to know what you want to make, I want to know how you want to live, because like happiness is about that. You know, there's nothing like, I get up in the morning. I told my classes in the private community the other day, I get up in the morning and the very first thing I have the opportunity to do is I light my candles, I play my jazz, I pray and I meditate. I get clear on my purpose each and every day. I'm in alignment with what God has called me to do each and every day. I'm not running off into my day. I'm not too busy to make a latte for myself. I'm not too busy to do the things that make me, that make me feel alive. And if you have found that you have all the success being money, title, status, but you don't have time to honor that little girl that's inside of you, to sit still and really have routines that really fuel you and allow you to enjoy your life, then it's time to look at changing the quality of your life, your models. And you need a coach that will call you out to those things. And it's something that I do all the time with my clients. I want to know how you're living, all right? Because that's really important. I think I'm at number 8 now. We're talking today about how to choose the right coach or mentor or strategic advisor for you. And I'm on fire. I know y'all know I'm on fire, always on fire. Number 8 is you got to choose someone who you must qualify for. Facts. All right. So that is in and of itself a whole statement. There are so many individuals who are choosing mentors and coaches and strategic advisors that they don't qualify for. Okay. What does that mean? That means that you see a button on a website for a challenge and you sign up. You don't have to qualify for that. But great strategic advisement and mentorship and coaching, typically at the highest level, you have to qualify to work with that person. Like, I want to make sure that what I have for you, right, that we're fit. I want to make sure that you can achieve the results, you can run the plays, and vice versa. And I know for sure that that's the reason why I can call clients 5 to 15 years later, and they all are still creating results and maintaining the results that we started with, because they were qualified to work with me. Does that make sense? And to me, what readiness looks like is, your mindset's got to be ready, because you've got to be ready to implement. I'll tell you what it looks like when you're not ready. It means that it could sound like this, and it's going to sound a little tough, but it can sound like you got every excuse in the world. You got the excuse of the kids. You even use God as an excuse not to get started. You use, your schedule at work. You use your spouse as an excuse, because when your mindset isn't right and you're not ready to lean into your elevation, life becomes, we use the obstacle of life as the reason, okay? And the reason not to, instead of the reason that I must. Does that make sense? Or readiness looks like, to me, financial readiness. Now, financial readiness doesn't mean that necessarily when you're getting started, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. It can, but it means that you have a readiness. Like, you're like, I've got to find the money, because if I don't change what I'm doing, my life is not going to change. And I say this to you so honestly, because when I got started in my business, let me drink some water. 1 second. When I got started in my business 20 years ago, I did not have the money. I signed on to a program that was 18 months. It was $1,000 a month. And I wasn't even making any money in business. I wasn't actually in business. But I knew I couldn't stay where I was. I knew I had to find and make a sacrifice in order for me to be able to build the business that I wanted. And I never used what I didn't have as a reason not to move forward. And so readiness to me looks like that person is like, I've got to do it. And they find a way and they do it. And they say yes and they figure it out. Readiness also means that you're willing to commit the time, that it takes to run a business. And I think that if I've ever interviewed someone and they say to me, like, how many hours a week do you think it's going to take for me to, hit $250,000 or more in my business? What are you talking about? Okay, like literally, those of us who are looking to build significant success, we don't have a time on it. Like I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes. Now, certainly there's a transition when you're working full time and running a business. So, you got to have minimum hours that you got to put in your business. But I'm not looking for anybody to tell me the minimum of what I need to do to create an output, because I'm not a minimum output looker, right? Or doer. And so when I'm looking for readiness, I'm looking for that person that they're like, I'm willing to do this. I have enough self-belief in myself that I'm willing to do whatever it takes in order for me to get to my next level. That to me is what you must be ready for. And I want to choose someone who qualifies in that way, not just anybody that's like, you want to make an investment, but you don't really want to do anything. A person that's invested $97 to put their foot in the water is also the person that doesn't understand. Like, you want to run a business, you want to hit six figures, and the level of investment around your dream is $97. That's not readiness, in my opinion. And I'm just calling it out. And I share with you guys what I know is true, what was true for me over the years. And I believe the reason that the women I've worked with have created significant success is because they had a shift in their mindset around that. Number 9, you want to choose someone who is proven, and you also want to choose someone who is integral, and those go together. So to me, you want to choose someone who has a track record of success. I think if you told me that you wrote a book, I want to be able to see that you've written books. If you tell me that you've done television, I want to see segments that you've done. If you told me that you've done corporate partnerships, I want to see proof and evidence that you've done that. If you told me that you've worked with hundreds of people, there should be proof of that. If you told me that you've helped clients hit six figures, there should be evidence of that. If you've told me you help clients go from 0 to 10K, in 30 days, I want to see evidence of that, because when people are proven, there are results that go alongside that. Does that make sense? And to me, if I'm going to work with a mentor or coach, I want to work with someone that is proven. And then I also say integral. And that's a harder one. I mean, I've worked with people over the years. The vast majority have been. But I've also worked with some people who I thought were integral. And then over time realized, okay, like, you're not. And the only thing you can do with that is decide that the moment that I find that, I'm working with someone, I'm coaching with someone, and that person's like gleaning what I'm doing or copying my webinar and word for word and, and sharing it as their own, I'm just not going to work with you anymore. You got to understand that, like, you have to protect yourself. And while, creative duplicators are always going to be those kind of people that think that taking from you, that they're crippling you, but they're really crippling themselves. The only thing you can control is work with people who have that have a reputation of doing the right thing. And people who do the wrong thing, trust me, there's a track record typically of them doing the wrong thing. And it is just true. And I've seen that over the years. All right. And, protect yourself enough not to betray yourself by getting caught in the hype of dealing with people who are not for your good. Does that make sense? This is particularly for those of you. This might be a message for those of you who have had more significant success, because the more success you create, the more you attract people who want to work with you because of the success that you create. Okay. And a lot of times those individuals are there because they want something from you. Makes sense. All right. Number 9, choose someone who has built what they teach, not someone who theorizes about success. I think this goes without saying, but yet sometimes people don't think about this, right? So today we live in the world of AI, which is amazing. But I want to work with someone that if you told me to do something, you have done these things yourself and you can walk me through it, without theory, without notes. Like when I coach my clients in my 3-day conference, I don't need notes. I'm teaching you based on what I did to pitch, get myself signed to Emmy nominated nationally syndicated television shows, what I actually did. And I know what I did. And I know the steps of what I did. So I don't need to read them. I don't need to have theory around these things. When I'm talking to my clients about how I pitch to corporations, Fortune 100, 500 corporations, don't need notes. Okay, because I can teach you from my experience and from my soul. This is what I have done. When I talk about building a coaching practice from scratch and how I've done it, and the hundreds of women don't need notes. I don't need to theorize around these things or any of these things. So you want to make sure that the people, particularly today, because AI, you've got a lot of people, it looks really great. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody's reading. You don't even know now when you're reading what you're reading, you're not even reading anything that anybody's writing. People are coming to you with AI's theory of an opinion that they have. And it's the land of the fake expert today is huge. And the only way you're going to be able to separate the people who can get you the results is really, they should be able to speak to you with results and the results they've created and be able to demonstrate what that looks like. And if they can't do that, I promise you, it ain't real. All right. Anything that my clients, I teach them to do, I can show them I've done it. Makes sense. Okay. And I think this is number 10. Choose someone whose clients win consistently, not occasionally. So to me, if you are great at what you do, there is a track record of success. Does it make year to year? Okay. So I've been in business 20 years. And one of the things that we have is the echo. And that echo, is an ecosystem, right? It's like the ecosystem of success. So year after year, we have clients who win, who create amazing results over and over and over again. And versus that coach or mentor or strategic advisor that recycles the same 10 people over and over again. Okay. Very important. Choose someone whose clients are winning and they're winning in their life. Right. And I think that's one of the things a lot of times people don't consider enough. They get caught in like the beautiful graphic, the beautiful photos, that kind of thing. And you can do better for yourself. You can be a lot more discerning for yourself when you're making these kind of investments. You want someone that, like I said, that sees you, that honors you, that is there for you, that sees a version of who you're meant to be and holds a standard, right? Holds that line, who'll call you out. That's what I do with my clients all the time. I call them out. And sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. And I'll call them out on many things. I'll call them out when they're being a smaller version of themselves, when they're being a punk, when they're not being brave for themselves. I call them out when their prices are too low and they're undervaluing all of these years of experience, because you have to have someone in your life that tells you the truth. And, you can choose to do what you want, but I think a great mentor isn't afraid to call you out to the giganticness that is awaiting inside of you. And it's the reason why I work with women who call themselves giants. And they're the only individuals that I want to work with. And to me, a giant is a person that in their skills, their talent, their ability, they create results for others. John has heart capacity, meaning they love to be in the company of other giants, women who accomplish great things. A giant is an originator. A giant is a person that they recognize that what they do, they are called. There's a calling on their life, and they're not looking to be a smaller version of themselves. And so a giant loves being in community with women that own ambition level and above. Giant is a proactive investor in herself. She's a woman that's able to say yes She's a woman that's ready. She's a woman that she takes the excuses away. And she is the example. And if what I've said, if that's you, then I would love to have a conversation with you. Only if you are in that place where I'm going to post the link here. Only if you're in that place where you're like, I've been looking for a mentor. I've been looking for my strategic advisor, my coach, and I'm going to have a conversation with you, Mia, because I know that you can help me package what I do into a high value product and build this business around my life, around my values. And I know that you will model for me how to do it in a way that's time rich. And if that's you and that interests you, I did just post the link inside of the community. Also, let me just highlight that link right here. I posted that here. Make sure you sign up for a business breakthrough session. It's 30-minute call where we'll assess where you are, look at where you could be 90 days out. Like if you package what you do as a high ticket consultant, coach, licensing speaker, we'll look at how you can build a business based on leverage, not hype, not anything like that. And there's nothing sold on the call. However, obviously I sell things because I'm a coach and a mentor and people proactively choose me. And if I feel that that conversation was fruitful and you feel that way, we can discuss always what that next level could look like. But literally, that's the first start. If this particular live was a conversation that you're like, this was good, I think it was good. All right. So today, what I talked about very simply is how to choose the right coach, mentor, strategic advisor for yourself in the season and every season. And one of the things that I tried to do, I know that I did this successfully, is I just spoke from my heart. And based on my years of experience, what I know will work for you. And my goal is to help you to be able to make a decision and trust the decisions that you make for the coaches and mentors that you choose. I look forward to hearing from you, and let me know what you think about this live here in this chat. If you are just joining me, watch the replay. It was a good one. I'll talk to you soon.